Is it as good as just a regular dumbbell press with a spotter? No. But the risk of hurting your shoulder, I mean, that's a serious risk, especially when you're lifting out here by yourself. Okay, way better. Good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Man, it's a nice day already. Like, beautiful weather outside. I mean, it's a little crisp, a little chilly, a little cool, but here in the gym, it's feeling nice. And we've got a good push day ahead of us. We've got a really good push day. Got some good sleep last night, feeling fueled up, feeling fired up. And we've got some new stuff to show you today. So let's just jump right into it, because as you can see from today's workout, we've got quite the list of stuff that we're trying to get done today. And it's gonna be a pretty lengthy workout. Nothing crazy. You know, we're still probably shooting in an hour and a half range like we normally are. Probably pushing up towards that hour and a half today. And we're gonna be trying something new. Now, from the list of exercises, nothing too crazy here that's gonna surprise you. Probably the most foreign thing is gonna be the supine dumbbell lateral raises. It's an exercise you probably haven't seen before. But if you watched us do those lateral Y raises in the past, where we were taking that dumbbell completely overhead and moving it almost 180 degrees, it's gonna be similar to that, except this time we're gonna be laying down on a slight incline on our bench and taking that dumbbell all the way around. It's gonna be a really good finisher for our delts and send those puppies home. But before we get to those, ladies and gentlemen, we have got our first sponsor on the gym vlog series here for the Iron Clinic. Let's give it up for Mad Spotter. Right, a good old round of applause. After the last gym vlog where we tried out the first version of those Mad Spotters, I'll put a link somewhere here for you so that you can go back and watch that if you'd like. But if you remember from last time, we gave those a use. We tried them out. It was honestly, it was just an impromptu review. Didn't really plan to make it into a review, but it turned into one, right? We used them and we were like, man, these could be nice, but they're just not. They're not functional in the way that I need them to be, and I had some serious gripes, namely with the bar behind the hand that sits in your fingers as you're gripping onto it and just becomes a major distraction and almost like a pinch point. It was very uncomfortable. Mad Spotter sent over their 2.0 Pro versions of their new dumbbells, and we're gonna be trying those out for the first time today. I have not used them yet, so you're gonna see some live first initial reactions to these new and improved Mad Spotters. Just looking at them, I'm thinking they're gonna alleviate many of my problems. So if I incorporate some of the feedback that I had for myself last time, which is gonna be using those safety arms to get us a little bit further away from the rack, that way we could actually get up under those dumbbells a little bit better. I think with the way that they've changed these are gonna be a massive improvement. But more on those to come here in just a little bit, and we'll show you some more on those once we get over to them. Got a big workout ahead of us though, so let's get set up. We've got incline bench press first here. Let's get under that bar, let's get warmed up, and let's start pushing some weight. I'll see you over there. Alrighty, I've got 205 loaded up here. Let's get underneath this and crank out about 8 reps. That's what we're shooting for here. 8 reps, good rest, and then we'll hit it again. Let's do this. All right, number 2. Number 1 felt pretty good. Let's see if we can replicate that here. Man, only 7. All right. So we've got one more set of these. I've reduced their weight down from 205 to 185. Taking them down by 20 pounds. And on this last set, we're gonna be doing a drop set. We'll hit our 185. We're gonna go for about 8 reps. Take those with some really good control, very good ROM. Get up, take off the 25s on each side, and then crank out some more reps at 135 as well. We'll see where that lands us. It's certainly gonna be in a place of discomfort and difficulty, but that's what we're here to overcome. Okay, let's go. Third and final set, drop set here. Let's hit it. Okay. All right, we'll live with it. Drop set. Come on. Oh yeah, okay. God, you look at 135 and you're like, that's nothing. Like a bunch 350, you know, 400. But man, when you get that good hypertrophy working there, weight is weight, man. And like I've said before, you don't need a lot of weight to get a lot of work in there. All right, let's get this set up here. We're gonna be skipping our machine press here, our lever arm press, and coming right over to our slight decline dumbbell press. Want to make sure we get that in and allow for some adequate time. So let's get set up for that. We'll see you there. Okay, so true, genuine first look at these bad boys. This is that Mad Spotter version 2 Pros here. Now already visually, the difference should be pretty substantial from what you remember on that first version. I've got the first version here on my right, your left, and the new Mad Spotter version Pro here on my left, your right. And the biggest change that I'm going to point out immediately is this cross bracer right here in the middle of the Mad Spotter. This was my biggest complaint when I was using the version 1s here. That cross brace was right here, which is where your hand is when you're grabbing that dumbbell. You're gonna end up wrapping around that thing when you're grabbing the dumbbell. Now the version 1s came with these little foam soft grips to go around this. If I remember correctly, the instructions said that it was for securing the dumbbell to it, but I'm imagining it was also to try to help cushion this little bar here on your hand. Unfortunately, when you're using heavy dumbbells like these, it wasn't helping at all. The pressure was just too intense here on the backs of my knuckles, right where it connects to my palm, for me to really stand, and it made them, unfortunately, completely unusable, in my opinion. With the version 2s, they've moved that cross bracer up here, and then at the bottom down here, they've got this soft webbing, this soft strap. It's fairly flexible, but it's very stiff, very firm. It feels like a loading strap that you might use for some tie downs if you're securing equipment in like the bed of your truck or something like that. And I use them frequently in many places in the gym. You've seen me use them many times before for various accessory movements or just supportive safeties. This webbing, I have a feeling, is going to be much better on the hand. Certainly a lot softer and a lot more natural feeling. Still going to probably feel slightly foreign because it's not just the steel of the dumbbell that's rubbing against you in the knurling, but it should be good. Overall, fit and finish look great. We've got some nice hard plastic up here, almost like Plasti Dip-like material to protect the bit that goes around your barbell so that doesn't get scratched. There's none down here. This, the metal itself, it doesn't feel like it's coated. You know, I can't really peel it off. I'm not sure if it's a sort of paint that's on here, an enamel, or if these have been powder coated in some way just to help protect them a little bit. But the very end of them down here has that rubbery plastic type feeling like we have up here at the top. Kind of a bit of like a Plasti Dip right here at the bottom where the end of that hook is. It's not on the actual hook itself. It's not on the bar right here where I might be touching a dumbbell. So that's a point of concern for me, is the dumbbells getting scratched up, these getting scratched up, causing damage to one another, ultimately leading to rust, and then, you know, after however long, them not really being that usable anymore. But with the soft webbing here, that's going to be doing the bulk of the contact on the dumbbell, so I'm not terribly worried about it. So let's just see what happens. The instructions say to start light, you know, work your way up to these heavy weights, as it does take some getting used to, and I can attest to that. Even just using the version 1s took some getting used to. So we're going to be starting out with our Bowflex dumbbells at just 50 pounds, which is going to be way less than we need to be for our working weight, but we're going to start with those 50s just to try to get used to them, see what that feels like, and if we can kind of get the movement down of where we need our hands to be, these hooks to be. I've set up the barbell this time on the safety arm so I can roll it back a little bit further. You can probably see that better over here on this camera, but the barbell is rolled forward closer to me this time so that I can actually get under the bar way better than I was able to previously, where I had this basically up against my rack, and I couldn't push my bench any further forward. That's a unique situation. If you were using these inside of your rack, like actually in them, like you're supposed to do most of your movements, you wouldn't have to worry about that. You'd be able to get your bench as far back as you possibly can, unless you have other limitations. I'm not doing it in there, if you remember though, because I worry about having to drop these things, and if I drop them, I'd rather drop them on horse stall mats here versus the wood inside my rack. But the good thing about these Mad Spotters too is on the instructions they come with, it says these are meant to be dropped if you need to. Now notably, it does not say that they can survive falls, that they're indestructible, that they can take, you know, abuse like that. But I'll be honest, these things feel pretty sturdy. I've got a feeling though that if we landed right here on the end here, I don't know if you can see that, but when we squish this, I mean, there's some play there. That webbing is moving. So let's see what happens with these bad boys. Let's get them hooked up on the bar. Let's get some 50s loaded up onto that and push some of this weight. And one added benefit I'm seeing here is that with this bracer being in the middle, I naturally just grabbed it as a sort of handle to lift these weights up onto here. You could set that on there and then place a dumbbell into it. What I noticed though is that when I tried to load the dumbbell onto them with the hook already on there, the plates of the dumbbell want to hit the safety arm. So whether it was going to be the safety arm or the rack itself, I feel like there's going to be some collision here. If these were slightly lower, another inch, you'd be absolutely perfect with clearance and having to avoid that. But they do clear completely once they're in the dumbbell. I just had to load it on there, which was not difficult at all, as long as I'm using that bracer as a handle and then loading that onto barbell itself. Now that's going to get more and more difficult as we get heavier weights, and I'm wondering what that's going to do for liftoff as well. I think they're going to end up being in the way, but we'll see. Let's give this a shot. Okay, immediately the soft webbing, way big improvement. Okay, still feels weird to lift off, but you know, once you're once you're off, these things are absolutely perfect. I got to be honest, I don't even notice them like at all. They're not bugging me. They're not in the way. Now, do I still like re-racking them? No, but that's just a part of the process that's kind of built into these, is having to get them back up there. I think what I'll ultimately end up doing if I continue to use these regularly is when I'm done with those weights, just bringing them back down onto my knees and then worrying about re-racking them after the set itself, getting the weights actually back up on there in between my rest sets. Okay, those were the 50s. I'm still feeling fairly warmed up from when we did the bench press, but we do need a little bit more warm up. So we're gonna get these dumbbells keyed up to 100 here. It's a massive jump, but again, we did a pretty intense set over there. Still feeling fairly warmed up from that. Let's get set up for 100 on these dumbbells, get those loaded up and start pressing. All right, here's some hundreds. Have to load it up in those handles. Honestly, super easy to load in there. It's just like that. Let's try my second method though, of actually loading the dumbbell using that handle here. All right, second dumbbell here on our bench. We're just gonna hook that on there, use that second handle. And yeah, that's so supportive. And as these dumbbells are getting heavier, obviously, I mean, we're only so strong, this bar is only so big, and it's gonna dig into our hand a little bit. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world. You're not gonna wanna hold that forever, but for loading it up on your barbell, this is gonna be more than perfect. I'm gonna support it from the side just to make maneuvering it a little bit easier. And it hooks right on there, no problem. I mean, I can't complain. I mean, truly, that's super simple. Let's get under these. Let's see how liftoff feels. All right, let's do this. We're in a slight decline here. I wish I had a real decline bench, but we don't. This is the best we got. Okay, let's do this. All right, I think I've got this just a little too low. We're gonna raise that bar up one, reposition these and see if that makes liftoff a little bit easier. I think it will. All right, bar is adjusted here. We've got it a little bit higher so that I could be starting in a more natural position. I feel like starting essentially halfway, less than halfway through the press itself was not advantageous at all. I mean, you saw me kind of like fumble that weight when I brought it back down. Just wasn't in the most advantageous starting position. We've raised it up. I haven't even tested it to see if it's gonna be a good spot. You're gonna see, but this is obviously gonna be one of the limitations on using the outside of our rack. On the inside of our rack, we're gonna have inch spacing for a lot of it, 2 inch at most. On the outside here, I think we've got 6 inch spacing. So it's gonna be a lot less variability in where we can place this here. That's just on the outside of our rack. We could easily move this inside the rack and not be constrained by that at all. That's it. Yeah, this is feeling better already. We're definitely higher. You know, back before we were definitely down here. So being here is going to be way more advantageous. Let's hit it. 100 pounds. Okay, way better, way better. Let's talk about what happened right there real quick though. All right, got my rest timer started here. We're gonna try to get some volume in here. I do want to up the weight on these, but let's do one more set at 100 too. So on that set right there, what you saw happen was my hand just wasn't in the right spot and the weight wanted to bend, wanted to come in when I lifted it up. My hand just wasn't centered on that weight. So when you're not centered on something like that, when you don't have it evenly distributed, it's gonna tip to one side or another, and that's what happened right there with that. These do not perfectly fit the handles. There's a little bit of slop in them. I would say 1/2 inch or less on each side of the handle here between the ends, the inside ends of the dumbbell. That little bit of slop is gonna allow that spotter to be off center basically. So you've just gotta be doing a good job to make sure these are centered. My handles have a knurling mark in the middle of them, so it's simple enough to line them up. I just have to be paying attention to that. Let's get these re-racked up there and get ready for our second reel set, I guess. All right, let's do this. 100, one more time here. Hand roughly centered, hand roughly centered. Now this time I made sure they were centered on the dumbbell itself, which is a lot easier to center my hand on because I could just feel where that spotter is in my hand. Make sure my hand's evenly spaced between these two supporting arms, and we're good to go. Let's do it. Yep, that's good. Okay, I'm digging it. Let's do one more set. We're going up to, let's do 120. Let's go up to 120. Let's really push these mad spotters. Okay, a little bit harder to rack up there, but that's just the fact that they're 120-pound dumbbells. Not the mad spotter's fault. Let's get after this. Let's see what happens. 120 pounds keyed up. 120, here we go. All right. Okay. Overall, I gotta hand it to him. No pun intended. Significantly better. Very, very usable now. You know, if I was on the fence with those V1s, let's not mince words here. I would not recommend the Mad Spotter V1s. Not at all. Now, they don't sell them anymore. So, highly recommend these. If you're training by yourself in your home gym, getting these weights up there to actually start your lift can be draining. Absolutely exhausting. I've got a feeling that these Mad Spotters are going to be making a whole heck of a lot more of appearances on this channel every time I'm doing heavy dumbbell-based movements. Still a little awkward to unrack. I'm going to imagine, though, over the next 2 or so more times that we use these, that's going to get a lot less unfamiliar. It becomes something that we're just used to, and that's just part of our dumbbell lift. It is still weird getting it around the lip of these safety arms, kind of hitting the bottom edge of these things. It's just there. It's an obstacle. So when I'm pressing those weights out, it's trying to like move around it a little bit. But as long as you're positioned appropriately, once you're actually unracked completely, they're not in the way at all. These safeties, which is supporting essentially your liftoff mechanism, not in the way. That's the most awkward part of the movement itself. But once you're up there, once you're lifting, totally natural, totally fine. And this soft webbing has completely eliminated the distraction that was there previously where this stabilizing bar was in the way. I mean, honestly, excellent improvement all around. Now, if they could just make it a way to get these things actually lifted up there so I don't have to lift them every time, man, these would be a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 5 stars. But as they stand, 0 complaints. Is it as good as just a regular dumbbell press with a spotter? No. And that's what these are trying to replicate. So with that in mind, when I give this a 5 out of 5, meaning absolutely no need for a spotter anymore, you could set these up every single time and get the exact same benefits? No. So with that in mind, I'm going to give these a 4.5 out of 5. These are absolutely damn near perfect when you compare them to a regular assisted dumbbell liftoff. But to get to that level of familiarity that you have with somebody actually helping you get the weights up and not having to be in this awkward position, hitting things, banging on stuff, I mean, that's going to be almost impossible. But this is, at least up to this point, the closest thing I've ever seen that's going to get us there. If you'd like to get yourself one of these, go to the website. I'll put a link somewhere in the description. Go check them out. Go support MedSpotter. Again, thank you so much, MedSpotter, for sending over a pair of these. These are a billion% better than the V1s, and they're going to make another appearance in the gym for sure. We got some more exercises to do, so let's get this cleaned up. Let's get on to those. All right, it is time now for some Pec Minor Dips. If you've never done these, I gotta be honest, these are a bit of an advanced movement. They are tough to execute and require some supreme mind-muscle connection. You do not have to do these weighted. In fact, I would say that probably most of you don't need to do these weighted at all. Normally, by this point in the workout, I wouldn't need to. I would have done at least one extra exercise because we're gonna be taking these to failure. And after you do, 2 or 3 main movement exercises, you're gonna be toast. We skipped, though, our lever arm press in favor of being able to do a little bit longer and extended look at in a review of the MedSpotter arms. So with that in mind, I'm gonna be starting off with some weight here, 45. We might not keep this on here for all those sets because we want to take this to failure. We want to get a good like 10 plus reps in here. Somewhere between 10 and 15 reps. If we're getting more than 15, we need more weight, or you're not doing it well enough. And if you get less than 10, we certainly need less weight. The goal with this is it's not going to be a lot of movement. You're almost going to be keeping your arms totally straight, but you're flexing until you feel that pec contracting down as you're pushing. So you could do these just standing up. Practice squeezing those pecs and pushing down with your hands at the same time. That's the movement we're looking for here. We're gonna get on this. I like to do it backwards, have my hands pointed outwards at the widest setting here, but you use whatever feels most comfortable for you. Let's give this a go. Let's see if we can do it today, because it's something I feel like on some days I can do it and other days I can't. Let's get after it. Mind muscle. Okay, not bad at all. So let's wrap up and round out those MedSpotters. As I said, definitely recommend them. If you're looking for something to help you stay safe in the gym, if you work out by yourself often, I wouldn't hesitate going and buying those. For what they cost, for the safety that they provide in being able to get that weight up, that is huge. It is an exercise in and of itself sometimes just to get the weight up, but the risk of hurting your shoulder or some other joint and trying to kick up those heavy weights, I mean, that's a serious risk, especially when you're lifting out here by yourself. So if you can afford, go spend the money, get that thing set up. You can use them on your rack. Clearly we did it on the side. Next time we're gonna try it on the inside of the rack, especially with us not dropping the weights. I have no concerns with doing that, and it'll probably be a lot easier to adjust the height to where we need it exactly, but I think we did have a pretty darn good height this last time. Set 2 here. That pec is definitely fatigued. Very minor movement here. Okay, let's do one more of those. 1 minute rests. But if you're strapped for money, if money's a concern, they're certainly not the cheapest accessory I've ever bought either. They do feel like they're worth the price, the premium quality. They don't feel cheap. They don't feel like they're gonna break. They're quite stable, secure, and strong. And I'd have to check again, but those things are weight rated for way more than we're gonna be pressing anytime. Anytime. I'm not gonna be lifting more than what those things can support, that's for sure. Not with dumbbells, at least. So once more, thank you, MedSpotter, for sending over a pair of those. Greatly appreciated. Really appreciate the support. Show your support for MedSpotter down in the comments. And if you can like and share this, if you appreciated that review, that really helps the channel a lot. Maybe we'll be able to get to test some more products. If there's something in particular that you're interested in, that you want to know more about, and a certain accessory, whether I have it, I don't, leave it down in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to look into that, potentially either acquire it myself or see if that company would be willing to participate in sponsoring another episode. Okay, 3rd and final set. Let's do it. good. Very good. One thing to note about those Mad Spotters, that review is completely of my own. Mad Spotter did not have any influence in what it is I'm telling you guys. That is a pure, unbiased, 100% honest review of that product, and I hope it's something that you guys can look forward to and trust in the future as well. I want to give honest feedback, real world feedback, in the gym feedback. Unlike a lot of people, I don't just collect equipment. I get equipment that I need, that I'm going to use, and that's going to actually make a difference in my home gym. I don't just collect it to have it sit on my wall and look pretty. I do have many accessories, a lot of things I've tried out that I just didn't like compared to some of the other stuff I have, but I certainly don't go out and buy stuff just to collect it and put it on my wall. I see a lot of people who do that, who it seems like lifting is just some collection hobby for them. And for me, to a degree, I suppose it is. I really like having unique instruments and implements to use in these workouts to amplify what I'm capable of doing with the still limited equipment I have when you compare it to a commercial gym. But at the end of the day, I need that equipment to work and to function. We have limited space in here, and I love finding equipment that has multiple uses and that I can use for a variety of exercises. Those Mad Spotters can be good for probably quite a few different things. I'm sure it'll be nice to be able to spot those at a specific weight for plenty of different exercises that we'll think of over time. But at a bare bones minimum, using them for those incline presses, flat presses, whatever it's gonna be, that's gonna be a huge, huge advantage for future workouts, and we're certainly gonna use them again. All right, we've got a couple more exercises to do here, but this is where I'm gonna leave it with you guys. I appreciate you showing up, showing your support. These vlogs are something I truly enjoy doing, and you know, having Mad Spotter reach out to actually want to sponsor an episode was fantastic. It was awesome. It's super reaffirming. I hope to be able to bring you all more of that content in the future, but at the end of the day, we are always going to be firmly planted in our roots here, which is just filming, hopefully, some humble, honest, and good home gym vlog content. I hope you enjoy that, however it shapes out. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the review, what you thought about the episode. I'm going to next move on to these lateral swings here, crank out some heavy reps, basically some partials. We're not going up too high, but we're going to do these, and then we've got a couple more exercises for our delts, as well as our triceps that we need to hit, and we got to get some ab work in there too. So, bid you farewell. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks again for being here. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a fantastic week, fantastic weekend, enjoyable and pleasant evening. I hope your friends and family are filling your life with laughter and joy, and if not, maybe you can find a little bit of that solace in the gym to remind you about the good that there is out there. There is a lot of good out there, and the gym can help us be a little bit more mindful of those things and center us, bring us to that place of peace and of calm, so that when we leave here, we can go out and enjoy all the laughter and happiness that's out there. I'll see you guys next time.